Okay, I've attached the other bra braid. Lost for words there for a minute. See a little nick there I need to get rid of. Right there. There's another one. Like I mentioned earlier, it's always easier to clean up as you go along than to have to come back later on and do it. Anyway, second braid's attached. Now, if I wanted, I could, let's see here. I could add a feather to him and I'd be ready to go paint it, but I'm not going to do that. I'll try to build on this. Okay, so take this off here. Let's just talk about headdresses for a second. I've been on the internet picking up a few of these. Now, this one here, Judy and I were down at the Oklahoma City National Cowboy Hall of Fame for the Prix de West show several weeks ago, and this piece was down there, this bronze, and so I checked it out pretty close. And it looks okay, but I just don't like the shape of it. We spent some time in the Soviet Union back in the late 70s, and these old ladies, babushkas, would run around with their little hair hats on, and I saw this and I immediately to me it started looking like a hair hat. Well, I don't want that. Now, but there's one thing I did notice on it when I was really checking it out. This comes around, it's basically just a top hat like this with the fur, and then the braid down here, the band down here, goes all the way around. Now, looking at this one, this has a fur appendage where this one didn't. It just has a couple feathers back there. Well, I like that. I want to incorporate that in my piece. But if you notice the shadow right here, now this is taken off the internet, so it's not as evident. But if you see that shadow back in there, you can see that this piece is attached to this piece here. So basically, this piece is similar to the other one, although the braid doesn't go all the way back. And here, the size of that horn actually covered up the beaded rosette which goes there. Now this one here is like this one down here, except for the way they mounted the horns. And again, the headband here doesn't go all the way around, but it does have a piece of leather back in the back. Now this one down here, this is what I'm aiming for right here. This headband, and I can see that this also goes down behind here, but most importantly, I really like the way the position of the horns on this one. Not that one there. This one's close, but those horns are much too big. A lot of times the Native Americans would split these horns in half so there wouldn't be so much weight up there. All these are, well, if you hang on a minute, I'll show you what those are. I get a little gallery, and what I want to show you is down here. Pictures to hang straight. Come on down here, Judy. Okay, this is a buffalo skull, bison skull. This is a nice one because when a buffalo gets old, their eye sockets grow out. They kind of go Google-eyed, which is a sign. when you see these sockets come out like that, the farther they go out, and believe me, they go out pretty far, depending on the age of the buffalo, that's what I really like, is an old skull. Anyway, this one's been hanging down here a long time. Here is the horn. This is the horn, and it just comes right off the skull, just like that. Oops. Now, when there's Native American, like I said, these things aren't light, and when you go take two of them together, they just become even heavier. So what they would do, they would slice these things right in half, which basically just cut the weight of them down in half. And all horns are like this. We spent some time in Africa, and I picked up a lot of skulls over there, and this part of the horn just slips right off. So that's what we want. But like I said, they would cut that off right there, I'm assuming, because this is pretty ragged here to try to sew it on to the headdress. Now let me put these back on there. Anyway, I thought you'd be interested in seeing that. Okay, so we'll head back over to the workshop. Okay, I went on the net just to show you. Here's a skull that's buffalo skull that's really gone googly-eyed, and just looking at this skull, it's an old one because the bone's already starting to deteriorate. Anyway, and I've seen them go out even more than that. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to carving. So much for the anatomy lesson. So, what I have to do first is I have to cut the top of the guy's head off. I kind of drew a rough pencil line on here where I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go over to the bandsaw and amputate the crown of his head, and I'll be back here in a second. Okay, what is it?
Crown.
Lobotomy? No, that's not a lobotomy. Anyway, he lost his head, blew his top. And then I kind of scooped it out here, make it even across there as much as I can. I still have a little bit to take off back here. So now I can start planning on the shape of the bottom of the headdress, which is the important part right now. And I think to do that, I have a little gauge around here. Which I think will work. So we'll just lay that across the top of his head. Look at that. Hit it right off the button, right there in the beginning. And that will show you how this will hang, okay? So I'm going to just do it right here. That way I'll have a record of it. How far up does that go on his head? To the end of that thing there. Get me a pencil. So there, that's the shape of where it's going to go. That's about the end of it right there. And then we'll have to, Judy can't see it. Why don't you switch around to the other side, you will be able to. Alright, this is the back of this thing right here, but about right here, I'm going to want that to come down. Let's look at this again. I want that to overlap, you know, blossom out. Okay. And by that, I mean I want it to come up like that. Because the position of the horns will be about right there. And he doesn't have a rosette like the others do, but we can certainly give him one right there if we want to. Okay, so that would be the side view of the headdress. Okay? So I'll just get my scissors here and cut that out. I won't cut that piece out. Boy, I got something to play with. So now I got to go find me a piece of wood. Okay, got me a piece of 3-inch Heineke basswood, best you can buy. This piece cost me 11 bucks back when I bought it at the last show up at Dayton. So anyway, it's going to work out just perfect. And I want to orient this to the strongest position, which would be here. I want the grain going this direction, which is what we're going to do. So I'll draw my side view on here, or follow my, I'll just continue that on down a little. Give myself a little slop there. And there it is. Check it one more time. I think I'll actually come forward with that, like that. Okay. And go over. Okay, here's my cutout. Okay. So on the saw, I think I can probably go ahead and reduce this down. Looking at it from the top. I don't know how much of it I can do on the saw, but not much here. We want that basically straight right here for the moment. So, being as we got our grain running up and down like this, I can take this off pretty easily here. The biggest part is going to be taking that out right there, because those are the rosettes, and scooping this out to where it's going to set on his head, because I want the head recessed down in here enough to where I get this effect. See how it sticks out? Just looks good. I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough this out. You don't need to sit through the whole process of that. And once I get it roughed out to a point to where I think it's going to be more of interest to you, we'll pick the video up from there. That way Judy can go up the hill, have her cup of tea, and I can finish my second cup of coffee. All right, so until the next video, we'll talk to you later.